Hello, my name is Dr. Patrick Hamilton, and I'm a lecturer at the University of Exeter Medical School. I teach on a range of courses, including neurosciences, medical sciences, and medicine. Before this, I was a research scientist for about 11 years, and I did research on many different things in biology, including the evolution of some diseases of really important diseases of humans and wild and domestic animals. I also did a lot of research on the effects of pollution in our rivers on the fish that live there, whether it affects their ability to breed and form viable populations. I started school in Northern Ireland, and I spent 14 years there. And at the age of about 14, just before I entered year nine, my parents moved to England. This is a bit of a challenge because when I moved there, I found it was a bit of a cultural shock. People spoke a bit differently in a very different accent, and lots of people could not understand what I was saying because I spoke so quickly with such a strong Northern Irish accent. This took about a year to change, and eventually I started to enjoy that part of school as well. I really found that I liked science in probably year 8 or 9 in secondary school. This is something that I found that came intuitively to me. Both my parents were scientists, and I suppose I had heard a lot about science as I was growing up, which probably helped with things. But I don't think I had an ambition to be a scientist while at school, even though I quite enjoyed it, because one of my interests at the time was art, and I did quite well at art and ended up doing art at A level, and then I spent a year at art college. About a third of the way through art college, I realised that actually my interests were really more in science, and I really wanted more of a scientific career than one as an artist or an illustrator. And so I reapplied to university and ended up getting into the University of Cambridge, which I was surprised to get in, but I did, where I spent 3 years studying for a natural sciences degree. I think when I first arrived in Cambridge, I was a bit apprehensive because I had the impression that everyone there might be a lot more intelligent than me. And it took me a while before I realized that lots of the other people who also arrived in Cambridge had exactly the same thoughts, and they were thinking that perhaps they shouldn't be at Cambridge too. Um, but uh, after a while, this is something that I got used to, and I actually really enjoyed my time there. At school, one of the things that I was interested in doing was having a career that allowed me to travel and see different parts of the world. It's probably because of visits to Africa. I was young to see some relatives. Um, I thought that it might be nice to have a job which involved traveling. And I managed to do this as a research scientist because I had projects with people in different parts of the world, including Africa, Australia, and South America. So it was very exciting to be able to work with people from these countries. And I've also got the I also got the opportunity to visit some of these places, everywhere from India to Canada, Australia, Africa, and South America. I suppose that each part of my career has had some challenges. I've ended up in jobs which I didn't really enjoy. Also, I've had to develop some skills while doing the various jobs I have. For example, at school, I didn't like writing and I avoided subjects like history and English, which required long essay subjects. And but when I came to university and I've done since, I've realized I've had to write a lot. I've had to write at the moment. I've got to write research papers. I've got to write feedback to students, and I've got to write reports. Now, this is something that I've had to work at, and I've got great advice from colleagues. And you find that the more you do something, the easier it gets, and it comes much more naturally after a while. I would also say that at school, I perhaps wasn't the most confident person. I wouldn't have volunteered to answer questions in class, um, and, or give a talk in front of lots of people. But lots of my job now involves teaching and giving lectures, which can be and there can be 100 and 200 people in a lecture. This is also something I've worked at, and gradually, after a bit of practice, some feedback, and from colleagues, it's something I really enjoy now. I really enjoy standing up in front of people and trying to explain science and trying to get people excited about the things that I'm excited about. I think that all these challenges have actually helped me in my career because now I can empathize with students who are facing some of these problems themselves. And I can also use my experiences to help some of these students overcome some of these challenges and achieve what they would like to achieve.